Why, hello there, everyone. It's Wes, Hank, and Andy. We are back. Round 2 for today.
That's right.
As we kick it with our chapter 20 of The Mandalorian. It's the FANdalorian. It's our deep dive review series where we have decided to go more conversational.
Still deep, though.
Still deep.
Pretty deep.
Yeah, we don't want to sacrifice nothing. And certainly not sacrifice the entertainment value. So hopefully you guys have been following us along. If this is your first time with us, welcome. Thank you for finding us. And for you longtime watchers, always great to have you guys back. Don't forget, we are a 100% fan interactive show. We are taking your comments live in the live chat, questions, comments, concerns, all that stuff. Because, hey, without you guys, there's no show.
So join the conversation.
Absolutely.
Let your voice be heard.
Before we get started on the review tonight,
is it time?
I believe it is time to open the cage and let that guy out because we need another round of
bad Star Wars jokes.
Haha. All right, here we go. This week's bad Star Wars joke comes from where they always do.
Far side of the galaxy?
The internet. I may have had a hand in putting a gentle massage on this one, but let's get to it. Guys, why should you never let Darth Vader deal in a game of poker?
Because he'll use the Force on you.
That's a good answer.
He will force your hand.
Like a Lando Calrissian thing. He'll alter the deal?
Because he'll alter the deal.
All right.
All right, listen, before I've got another one.
Okay.
I've got another one in honor, and this one is in honor of this week's episode. But I'm going to put this up here first. All right, here we go, guys. Round 2. Where do Gungans store their homemade preserves?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Where do Gungans store their homemade preserves?
Somewhere in a kitchen, maybe?
In the cupboard, man.
Would you believe they store them in Jar Jars?
Perfect.
There you go.
I could not resist in light of this week's episode and all of the rejoicing that was this week. This has been another installment of
Bad Star Wars Jokes.
Oh, Lauren at the wire in the Jar Jar. Oh, so close. But yes, you are correct. In the Jar Jar. All right, guys, before we get into the breakdown, of course, huge revelation this week. Big returning guest spot this week. Before we get into all of that stuff and what it means and what it could mean and where it's going, what did we think of The Foundling, Chapter 20? What do you guys think?
Pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, for all the expectations and all the who could be,
okay,
and everything is like who's going to live up to that expectation.
Oh,
and really, when it came down to all the options that were thrown out there, nobody would have been happy with it.
We all had this idea that it was going to be that we were going to see the rescue. I think we commented on that last week, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was super happy with the whole thing. Like a few of my theories, like I mean, there weren't wild swings or stuff got confirmed.
Oh, sure.
The rescue in the flashback scene just had me in tears, and just like no, there really strong, like the jetpacks versus the creature with wings there, the Shriek Hawk. Just some cool stuff, stuff that you would see, straight out of a Rebels episode or a Clone Wars episode. It does really feel like a live action, a live continuation of that stuff. Like and we're getting a bigger scope this season.
Yeah,
right. Like bigger vistas, longer fights. More dynamic stuff. And high quality too. It remains high quality. The visuals are stunning. Fantastic, man.
They're even paying attention to like actual physics too, like fuel running out. Really? Okay.
In a show built on space wizards and laser swords.
That's right.
Now we got to start counting fuel. All right. Small detail here. I liked how they seemingly presented a resolution to the beef between Djarin and Paz Vizsla. But is the hatchet actually buried between these two? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think so, because like
I
he
don't know.
challenged once already.
That is true.
And
That is true. They now have, whether they agree with it or not, or even realize that they now have a kinship in the sense that they both have foundling children that they are responsible for.
But and like I had said, you know, my big Hail Mary prediction was that season 4 would be about Grogu being the Mandalorian defending the throne from the challengers, and so we literally got that first little fray.
Well, so true. And I mean, I said that way back when. I'm like, these two are they're gonna come to some kind of conflict.
Yeah.
Not thinking that it was going to be in training, but that was cool.
Yeah, the first in many.
There's a thing going on here. Again, we always comment on sort of the fan community. We kind of keep our ears to the pulse of what other people are saying and what other people are thinking. And this one has come up a couple of times, and I'm going to come back to it at the end of the episode, but I just want to plant the seed here that there is a segment of the fan community here that is actively shipping Bo-Katan to Din Djarin. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I don't think I'm opposed to it, but I'm certainly not like, oh yeah, this needs to happen. At the same time, when we get to the end of the episode, there's a strong visual cue that may support that. So I'm interested to talk about that when we get there, but we have a long way to go before we get there. So why don't we get into the breakdown?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. This one is chapter 20. It is called The Foundling. This one is, it aired Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. This is the first of the episodes to be co-written by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. According to my notes, it's Joe Favreau. Wow. Missed an end.
Nice. Wonder which part Filoni wrote.
It's directed by Grief Karga himself, Carl Weathers.
Nice.
We've gone from the longest episode last week to the shortest episode this week. It came in at an actual 26 minutes and 21 seconds without titles or credits, which puts it right in line with some of the animation that we've covered.
Yeah,
this season.
absolutely. And if we translate that into FANdalorian terms, you just double that time and add 30. And that's about where we'll be.
Normally, when we do these things, I like to put up, and we've kind of made a tradition out of it, putting up our actors our writers and our directors and talking about their other works. But because these two have been so involved with Star Wars, I put up just their Star Wars connections. And did you guys know that Dave Filoni was also the voice of Embo?
I did not know that.
I don't think I knew that either.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, Embo, as well as the vocalization of CH-1P Chopper. And of course, Jon Favreau, the voice of Paz Vizsla, as well as Rio Durant,
the former voice of Paz Vizsla.
Is it though? Because there's an uncredited thing for him too. Like, I'm not convinced that it's not him this season.
The voice seems very different to me, but
yeah,
does it? So different that you're not?
That I would be shocked if I saw the helmet come off and he was there.
Oh, I never expected it to be his face underneath the helmet anyway, but
no,
I did.
Tate Fletcher, Tate Fletcher, who was all the way back season 1, episode 1, was the guy at the bar. Is the physical embodiment.
Spilled my drink.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah,
he could be.
Could just be effects too. It could just be effects.
Yeah, for sure.
But if our action figures are canon, Favreau's face is under there.
Yeah.
At least in one release.
Well, that's true. Yeah, in the Black Series release, for sure it is. Yeah. We've got a comment coming in from Doug. Doug, hey, welcome back. If you could get an astromech sidekick, who would you pick?
Oh.
Interesting. So I'm going to extrapolate from that question that we're talking about an existing astromech within the Star Wars continuity.
Yeah, that's the way I interpret that. I know.
It's tough, you know. I love Chopper, but I do not want to have to babysit that guy when he goes all murdery. I love R2 for his versatility, but I do like BB-8 as the evolution of the astromech droid. And I mean, if R2 is a jackknife, then BB-8 is the 20th century update to that jackknife, and I like
Swiss
that.
Army.
If the little thumbs up with the blowtorch didn't do it for you, then I don't know. I'm somewhere between a traditional R2 astromech, if not R2D2 specifically, or BB-8. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm a Chopper guy. And
Lauren says she'd take Chopper as well.
Yeah, we both were big Chopper fans here. He is a homicidal maniac, but he tends to only kill other droids.
That is true.
And an honorable mention, or I guess my runner-up would have to be BD1 from the Fallen Order game.
Oh, BD1. I never considered him.
An excellent personality and like a high degree of utility factor. Yeah,
it's like he's like a little chicken. A little chicken that runs around and lets you zip line everywhere and will read things for you. You can use him like a pair of macro binoculars.
Crazy map.
Yes, and a map. He's
and
a mean droid with a map.
Packs. Don't forget the stim pack. That guy brings the drugs.
Andy, where are you at on the droid situation?
I'd probably go with an R2 myself.
An R2 astromech.
Yeah, I'll go with a classic.
Classic. Can't go wrong.
All right, our synopsis this week reads, Din Djarin returns to the hidden Mandalorian covert. Nothing earth-shattering there.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about the covert in a little bit here. All right, the episode opens with the members of the Mandalorian covert. They are outside the cave practicing all manner of battle drills while Grogu sits alone by the edge of the water, seemingly playing with some rocks. There's a lot going on in this this sequence.
This is a large grouping of Mandalorians.
So I tried to count. Now, in the main splash image that I've used here, I can discernibly make out 40 plus.
Yeah.
Then when we switch to the next scene as Bo is coming in, it's hard to tell if that's just a different camera angle or if it's around the corner and there's more people. But I'm putting the Mandalorian covert now at 50 plus people.
Sure.
Wouldn't shock me.
Now, we've seen the covert in a couple different ways. Back on Navarro, we saw a bunch of Mandalorians. I don't think we saw this many.
No.
Certainly when they came out and helped him escape, there wasn't that many.
We might have seen that many in that terrible pile of helmets, though.
Then we saw the covert decimated down to just the armor and Paz Vizsla living on the bottom of that ring world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that 2-year time frame comes back to we're reminded of that they have rebuilt the covert, that they have
they've reached
collected.
Out, they found.
Yeah.
Reunited. They do say that after the battle at in season 1, they were scattered. What survivors there were scattered. So
right.
I think maybe, these are the stragglers coming back and other groups that they just hadn't mentioned, probably.
Yeah.
And I do think that she's recruiting willy-nilly too. Like,
in what sense?
Just
to add people.
Absolutely. Like, and this is why you have adults, full-on adults, doing basic training.
Yeah,
that's my sort of personal theory. I half-assed thought this was another fight with an alligator at the very beginning, and then I thought, well, this is a dangerous place to bring your children. What are you doing? And then I guess I'm not wrong.
No, you are not. You are absolutely not wrong.
Let's practice on the beach where the children get snatched.
Lauren thinks that they seem very untrained, and on some level, I would say yes. I mean, we can talk about the ridiculousness of it's not target practice if there's no target. Yeah. I didn't understand what shooting into the water was accomplishing other than expending ammunition. That's the kind of thing you do after the range practice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a fun shoot. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does convey that they are training.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could be just to sort of go, they're constantly training. This is a day in the life of. It never ends. And there are several groups paired off that seem to have skill. There seems to be like a master of arms who's presiding over the ruling on a fight. But like I said in the very first episode, I think there's like gradients here because there's very few jetpacks.
Yeah,
And
there is only just a few.
And we saw Djarin for a half a season or more without a jetpack. And so, there's a certain level you reach, and he, even though we saw him be a badass, hadn't even reached jetpack status yet.
No.
In terms of, so there's levels to this, I think.
Well, the short list of activities that we see, we do have some flight training, however, very limited. We see the target practice. We see hand-to-hand combat, vibro knife fighting, wrist rocket training, rappelling and climbing.
Yeah.
Errantly, or maybe not, the one thing that we don't see anybody let off a jetpack missile.
No.
And it's like, is that because
that ammo's probably I would I guess you're gonna waste some. I mean they're even little flamethrower action too. So,
and then in the middle of all that, we have Bo-Katan walking around, who seems like she is starting to get acclimated
a little bit,
if you want to call it that. Yeah,
and feel a bit more like home.
She probably doesn't want to participate yet, like because she could probably take all 40 people there.
Well, so therein lies another one of those. This kind of talks about her psyche though, and where she is, and maybe that's a good contrast point to keep in mind as we get to the end of the episode, where she's physically or literally and metaphorically sitting at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
that she probably could wipe the floor with anybody singularly.
Like I know we had a slight difference of opinion, but like I said, I bet 1-on-1 she could beat Din.
I think that there is some truth to that. I don't think that that's not true. I mean, but again, this is one of those things that the story does what needs to be served.
Yeah.
But certainly from previous appearances, there's a strong argument to be made for that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why she was Mandalore twice.
Yeah.
All right.
Not many people fight Maul and live.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, sitting over at the water's edge, Grogu watches as one of the rocks moves a few inches. Mando comes over and tells him that it's time to learn with the other foundlings, and then they head off to where there is some fight training going on.
Totally thought he was mucking with the Force here.
Okay, so I just want to point that I was sitting there watching this thing going, one of the things we talked about, and it's not just here in The Mandalorian, but also in The Bad Batch, was when do kids get to be kids?
Yeah.
The way that the rocks, as we find out, half the rocks are crabs, I actually thought that they were positioned, and I saw 10-year-old Wes in the backyard playing with his Star Wars action figures, and I thought, oh my God, can you imagine being able to use the Force to play with your action figures?
Yeah.
And that's what I thought he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, no, half of them are actually just crabs.
Yeah.
Life
and probably food to him.
Maybe.
Like he was about to slurp that thing out of the bottom of the
crack it open.
Pretty risky leaving him by the water's edge that close with things like crocodile turtles.
Yeah, but he's little enough that he wouldn't even be picked up on the radar.
He could just Mick Dundee that thing, though. You never know.
That's right. Got one more from Doug.
So Doug, what do you got here for me, Doug? Doug, she is more of a trainer than the rest.
Yeah.
Doug, hold on to that thought, because training, that's going to come back when we get to the next part.
And then there's the question of disclosure. Like, so, well, we know she's playing poker with Din Djarin and the Mythosaur stuff.
Yeah.
Is the armorer playing the same cat and mouse game with the rest of the Mandalorians in terms of her, who she is and skill? Like
I wonder that as well.
It would be almost like going, well, here's my replacement, guys. Like,
yeah. Without any of the spiritual leadership qualities.
Yeah.
And
the
so
positive is like he knows who she is.
And the third part is how much poker is Bo-Katan playing in terms of
right.
Because I started thinking, I was really questioning the decision at the end, and we'll get into it. But what if that was a test of her own? she's crafty as heck. I thought, she was saying too much there, and then I thought, after thinking, what if that was a test of her own?
It very much could be. It very much could be. I actually wrote that in my notes. Is she going to regret that decision? Disclosing that much?
I don't think so.
All right, where are we at here? We're on to this one. Oh, yeah.
Rocks.
All right, well, Grogu and Ragnar square off in singular combat using training darts. Now, Grogu doesn't quite get it right away, but after some encouragement from Mando, he beats his opponent 3 hits to 2.
Mm-hmm.
We said early on that this was going to be an unfair fight. If these two met, if there was a conflict, that it would be an unfair fight. And
sure.
I kind of think it was. I don't think it was that he didn't grasp what he was supposed to do. I just don't think he was into it.
No.
Maybe.
We get a new Mando.
He was also holding back, right?
That's true.
And until Din says, it's okay. Show him what you already know.
Well, let me just point out this. The judge leads off by saying he's too small.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm telling you, in my head, screaming at me was Yoda's voice. Judge me by my size, do you?
Yeah.
Like this is not gonna go well.
But
speaking of
we get a new Mandoism here.
Yeah.
One who doesn't know doesn't speak.
Yeah, one who doesn't know doesn't speak.
Yeah, that's cool.
Speaking of the Mandalorian judge, that's actor Jason Shu. Now, he's known as a stunt performer on over 40 productions, starting with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes back in 2014. However, for the Mandalorian, he is Giancarlo Esposito's stunt double as Moff Gideon.
Oh,
cool.
And I can see the resemblance there. We do get that pretty cool little bit to the creed.
Mm-hmm.
Ragnar says, why doesn't he wear a helmet? And Din says he's too young to speak, therefore he cannot take the creed. Ragnar says then he's too young to fight. And Mando with that line, one does not speak unless one knows. Is that not the creed?
Yeah.
Ragnar, well, I know. Well,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps this lesson is for you then.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
The lesson is for you.
Even Paz reinforces that at the end and repeats it.
Well, that's just it. And I said, there's a bit of a contrast here between the two fathers, that when Paz Vizsla at the end of the fight and his son has lost, is Paz Vizsla remembering the lesson vicariously through, like he remembers, oh, that happened to me too.
Maybe.
I felt like it was kind of like a passive aggressive admonishment.
Really?
Kind of like don't underestimate your enemy.
I thought that he was like far enough away that he was. Oh, okay.
Pushes his kid at sports too hard. That kind of dad.
I felt that it was just sort of some self-reflection of, oh, I remember when I was that age.
I mean, I
don't see Ragnar being inherently like a dink, but I can see.
And neither do I.
I can see Paz Vizsla pushing him to be that dink.
Yeah, I can too.
Like you are the heir to the clan Vizsla.
100%. Right, exactly. 100%. We need an internal antagonist, and
yeah.
And, like I said last episode, I think there'll be some factioning up.
We get a legacy line here from Mandu. Great job, kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Comment from Ken over at Toy Connections. This was a great episode.
What's up, Ken?
It really was. It really was. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Ken. Hopefully you stick around for a little while. If not, I understand. We'll catch up soon. All right. Well, having his butt handed to him by Grogu, Ragnar walks to the edge of the lake to wallow silently in his defeat. But it's a short-lived wallowing, as a massive reptilian creature reminiscent of some kind of dragon swoops down and snatches Ragnar up in a clawed foot. Mando, Paz Vizsla, and a couple other Mandalorians chase after the creature using their jetpacks. But because the creature already has such a commanding lead, they all run out of fuel and are forced to land. But then Bo-Katan rockets past them in her gauntlet fighter and chases the creature into the sunset, and we get our title cards.
In our little Apocalypse Now homage.
What do you mean?
So the lesson here is don't stand by the lake.
Yeah, don't. Well, that's what I'm like. Why is Grogu playing alone by the water's edge?
I totally thought he was going to go and like try to kick him or something. Like he wasn't done with the fight after he was humiliated there. And that's why Paz gives the line, right? Like,
Interesting. I just took it as that was him remembering the lesson, and now Ragnar now has to go off and deal with his own emotions, which he's chosen to do.
Well,
sullenly on his own.
He was about to try to go for real there. Like he stepped right up to Grogu, was feet from him, like, and they were a dozen feet of, you know, they were 10 paces or whatever.
Yeah.
And he, you know, so I kind of got the impression like he was gonna, you know, try something, you know, else, like, and because he kind of kicks the sand and does that, you know, that and then so perfect time for him to get scooped up. He's got some negative energy running through there.
We get the actual confirmation here that Ragnar is not a biological child.
Yeah, I had questions about it. Wasn't clear to me until I watched it a couple times, but then I understand. Yeah, definitely.
Mando draws his pistol to want to shoot at it, and Paz literally puts a hand on him and says, "Don't shoot! It'll kill the Foundling."
Yeah,
calls him a Foundling outright.
Right.
And that's again, that's that interesting contrast.
He's taking the helmet at 12 or whatever instead of when he can speak, you know, because they just sort of lay that out.
Sure. Well, returning to the covert, Bo-Katan says that she followed the creature and she knows where it lives. Well, the decision is made to assemble a war party to go after both it and Ragnar. This is kind of cool. There's a whole lot of lore that comes out of this sequence.
Also, a little bit of a legacy line feel, anyway.
In what way?
When they're like, you know, if you approach like that, you'll set it off. We'll have to scale it. And she's like, well, you know, I scaled that back in the day.
Oh, yeah. That's actually going to play into sort of the lore connection here tonight, which actually I was kind of caught off guard. They can't fly directly there, and they have to avoid using blasters and explosives so that Ragnar is not killed. That is, if he's not dead already. Surprisingly, he's not.
No.
They like to let them marinate.
Who knew this thing only eats? Yeah, really. We gotta let him kind of. We gotta like soften him up for the chicks. There's a line from Bo that says that the cliffs are no higher than the peaks of Kiramorut, and that she climbed them in basic training. Now, the language here suggests that Kiramorut is a mountain. Certainly, that's the reference when she points at the hollow image here.
Yeah.
But the name actually comes from Star Wars Legends, where Kiramorut is actually the name that is given to a traditional Mandalorian dwelling known as a Vayame. And not surprisingly, it looks like a dome. That's a Vayame in the lower image there beside Sundari City. I put that up as a contrast to like, hey, there's a lore.
Yeah. Futuristic dome.
Interestingly enough, Kiramori was the home for the Skirata clan, as well as a refuge for clone deserters during the war. In Legends. It was first introduced in the 2007 Legends novel Republic Commando True Colors. Now, the other one that comes up here, and this is what's got the internet kind of a buzz, including myself, or one of the things. The armorer has a line here that she says to Paz Vizsla to enjoin the Shriek Hawk training team to accompany you. And immediately the internet went to, okay, that thing's a Shriek Hawk. And I'm like, what? How did we make that leap? I don't know how we made the leap there.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
Based on the other creatures we've seen on this planet, it's not a stretch to think it's just another prehistoric-ish beast.
Yeah. I am more in that camp. And there's a bunch of reasons why. And you and I talked about this sort of offline. It was like if they had, and I can get how a casual viewer might make the connotation Shriek Hawk training team. Oh, you have a team that's dedicated to training these animals. Okay, if that's the case, then where are the domesticated Shriek Hawks?
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me, especially when Paz Vizsla says it always gets away. Okay, so we've got guys that train these things, but we've got no evidence to say that we've actually done that.
I sort of took it as like going after the Shriek Hawk was more training.
That's an interesting take.
View it like training.
Yeah.
I guess I did kind of think it was a Shriek Hawk.
There's a lot of there is a ton of Legends lore around the Shriekhawk. I'm gonna go
It's
through it.
I mean, I knew that, but I just thought they were taking liberties, right?
And you know what? They could come back. It could come back, and it's exactly what that is. And I'm the one that's completely wrong here. But I just trying to connect the dots here. And like, this is a Filoni co-written episode, and we know how good Dave has been at plucking from Legends and pulling it forward, and not really changing a whole lot.
Yeah.
So in Mandoa, Shriekhawk translates as Jai-Gelar. What else do we know canonically translates as Jai-Gelar? Well, we did a whole video on it, the Westar 35 pistol, the traditional Mandalorian pistol. And then the other one here is the Jageyes. The Jageyes that we see on Rex's helmet, we see it on some other Mandalorian helmets, literally translates as Shriekhawk eyes. And I feel like there's just so much lore there that to just abandon all that doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the emblem itself, the Shriekhawk, known as Jai-Gelar, were a species of predatory bird native to Mandalore that went extinct during what's called the Mandalorian Cataclysm, an event during the Mandalorian Jedi War that led to the destruction of the surface of the planet. Why the planet looks like it's been scorched earth.
Mm-hmm.
The emblem, now this emblem that we see here, by the way, all the Shriekhawk training team are wearing this emblem. Fans of animated Star Wars will recognize it as the emblem of the Death Watch. But it goes back even further than that, Paz Vizsla's ancestors adopted this as their family crest. It is actually supposed to be a stylized Shriekhawk in a full dive.
Right.
So perhaps the Shriekhawk training team
literally
is
there. Right.
They're survivors from Mandalore, and that's what they did. And maybe this particular creature is now, since they're
akin
extinct,
to,
maybe this could be a replacement Shriekhawk.
That's an interesting thought. And it certainly ties into what happens at the end when they bring the chicks back.
Yeah.
That I can get behind. I took the line to be more when she says take the Shriekhawk training team, because I kind of thought about this. This is so Vizsla. And the one person in the room who's not wearing this symbol is Paz Vizsla.
Yes.
He doesn't bear the symbol. So I wondered, is this a cultural thing? Is this like a taking it back thing where they're taking it, the connotation of the Death Watch out of the symbol and sort of restoring it to a place that's more honorable
to the history of
Mandalore?
Yeah, maybe.
Which thematically fits in.
Boba has this on his shoulder, doesn't he?
Boba wears a mythosaur.
Mythosaur. Yeah, right. Because the other thing is that weird stylized F.
The with the feather.
With the feather. But I think maybe, like discussing it like this, it could be that that's just what she calls her covert.
Maybe.
Like
Shriekhawks, like.
Now there are 4 when they go on the expedition. There's 7 of them, so it's Paz, Bando, and Bo. So the other four, I actually took it to mean. I kind of likened it more to when she says, "Oh, take the Shriekhawk training team." To me, it was like saying, "You better call SEAL Team 6.
Bring your special forces."
I took it as these guys, and maybe they're direct holdovers. They are the remnants, the last surviving remnants of the Death Watch, and maybe that means that of all of the members of the covert, these are the guys and girls who are at the height of their game combat wise, and they're responsible for training everybody else.
Could be.
That's kind of how I interpret it anyway. But I'm not convinced that this is a Shriekhawk. And that was the one thing that just I was the one that was like losing my brains this week. We all watch sort of the same reviewers and the same people that talk about this stuff. And a couple of different outlets were like Shriekhawk. And it was like that's gospel. That's just what it is. And it's like, oh, who said it first and who's copying everybody else? And I'm like, do you guys not do your own research? Like, come on.
I went down a rabbit hole and I found a few images from the Legends lore.
Yeah.
And, side by side, it doesn't match.
No, it says very, very clearly it's a bird.
A reptilian or a Octavian or whatever,
yeah. Greetings tonight from TJC. Good evening, all. Hello, sir. Glad to have you back with us. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Any more on that one?
I'll wait till they tell us what it is.
Yeah,
if
it's
they've
hard to
adopted
know.
3 at the end, we're gonna know
I
eventually.
kind of thought it was, but you know, all on my own, not influenced by.
No.
streaming.
This is the thing. Like, and we went through this. We kind of had a similar conversation around the cyborg, and that's the one thing. This is an aside to the actual breakdown this evening, but it speaks to the sort of the fan community in the broader sense that, like, I think we're trying too hard to connect everything to something instead of just letting it be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, let the story tell you what it is. And I know it's part of the fun is to try and superimpose what we think it is. But man, like, it's almost getting like almost worrisome. Like, oh, are we trying too hard?
Or are we not trying hard enough?
I don't know.
Because there was that crab Borg in that episode.
Well, there is that. By the way, our Westar 35 video, that is our most popular video in our Weapons of Star Wars playlist. If you haven't checked that out, I recommend you go over and check that one out. That was a fun one to do.
I don't think the Shriek Hawk was Palpatine, if that helps anybody.
I will accept that.
That is true. But he foreseen it.
Did he?
I don't know.
Not at this point.
Well, Grogu in the armor watch as the war party departs on Bo's ship. The armorer then tells Grogu that he's too young to go with them for now. So she and Grogu go back inside to the covert, where she proceeds to give him a lesson on Mandalorian culture, while at the same time toils away at the forge, making him a new piece of armor. Now, the lesson from the armorer goes something like this. She says, "This is the forge. It is the heart of Mandalorian culture. Just as we shape the Mandalorian steel, we shape ourselves. We all begin as raw ore, and we refine ourselves through trial and adversity. The forge can reveal weaknesses." One thing about the forge here, which I found, I mean, we've seen her forge, what, half a dozen times now?
A couple times, yeah.
This is the most elaborate setup that we've ever seen with the forge, going through these holographic sort of designs that she has stored there in that computer.
Mm-hmm.
She has a power hammer.
Yeah.
We didn't have that before.
No. Feels like home, right?
Yeah. Very much so.
You know, more.
So again, there's that passage of time.
And it's quite possible that she and Paz are just out recruiting. Grab 10 Mandalorians, or find a rogue covert and bring them into the fold.
Yeah. Join us or die.
This will be the fourth time we've seen, I think third or fourth time we've seen somebody in the presence of the forge hallucinate or have visions or memories of the past.
Yeah.
Is there like a physical thing here that's happening? The heat.
Well, there's the sparks off the power hammer kind of trigger the flashback, as it were, as the sparks fly off the power hammer.
When you had the same thing with Din, like where she's just using the physical hammer, and it's like the So I wonder if there's some sort of
it could be connected to the living waters.
So that's another option too.
Pour that in there, and then heat it up. You get some steam that puts some particles in the air.
Right.
Couple that with some repetitive striking.
I mean, symbolically, we've got the spiritual leader of the covert here imparting the lesson. So no surprise that we're going to have some kind of, now in Grogu's case, I don't think it's all spiritual. I think this is a traumatic, intrusive memory. Yeah. Anybody with PTSD out there can appreciate this, what's happening here. Yeah. But as the armorer's power hammer strikes the Beskar, sparks fly. Now, how did I get so far ahead of myself? Wow, I really got far ahead of myself. I've missed an entire slide. That's really disappointing because I made slides for that. Oops. Wow. Okay. As the armorer's power hammer strikes the Beskar, sparks fly, and suddenly Grogu is overcome with emotion, and we flash back to his escape from the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Oh no, I didn't. I did not. I'm sorry, my mistake. 4 Jedi escort him in his pram as the 501st Legion stormed the temple. 2 of his protectors are gunned down immediately, and they're forced to go another way. Now, that way is also blocked by more advancing troopers. One of the Jedi uses the Force to push Grogu into an elevator and then sends it off before they too are also gunned down. When the door opens, the kind face of Jedi Master Kelleran Beck tells him everything's going to be all right, kid. And there we go. There's our big revelation
Did you know when they dropped the name before they showed his face?
Get him to Kelleran. So I wasn't aware of Kelleran Beck as a character until the research for this episode, and that's gospel truth.
I knew the character. I didn't know the name implicitly. It just kind of it made me go but I didn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't place it if that makes sense.
But they did. There's a couple of times. Get him to Kelleran, I think, is what one of the Jedi says.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that piqued my interest, and I was like, how do I?
Yeah.
And then wow.
Well, who is Kelleran Beck? We can talk about Kelleran Beck. Who is Kelleran Beck? So, I mean, we've all know by now that Jar Jar Binks actor Ahmed Best has come back to Star Wars in grand fashion in the form of Kelleran Beck. But what I didn't know was that Kelleran Beck has already been around for a couple of years, because Kelleran Beck serves as the guide and mentor for a children's game show, Jedi Temple Challenge. Now, the character canonically, it has been written, it says that he is a Jedi Master who served the Jedi Order as a mentor and teacher to younglings. His skill with the lightsaber earned him the name Sabered Hand, and he was fond of using the two-saber technique called Jar-Kai. He traveled the galaxy in a Pelta-class frigate. Now, that was part of the show, Jedi Temple Challenge, called the Ethelia, that served as a platform for some of the knowledge trials that he would put the Padawan learners through. The Padawan learners, of course, being the actual children contestants of the show.
Yeah.
Kelleran Beck was also served by a protocol droid called AD3, who was jealous of him because the droid could not wield the Force, as well as an astromech droid, very R5-like, by the way, called LXR5. Kelleran Beck.
If you've never seen Jedi Temple Challenge, picture American Gladiator mixed with Star Wars Jeopardy.
Yeah,
for kids. Yeah. Super cool.
The entire first season is on YouTube.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's still running, by the way.
Cool.
The show only started in 2020?
2020.
Yeah. So this is a relatively new character. Now, Hank, you had raised a point about the levity he was given to develop the character, that Ahmed had a strong hand in developing this character.
His backstory, not knowing, and then actually, so I don't know which order to cover this in.
No, you go ahead.
For the fact that he had this elaborate backstory that the creators of Jedi Temple Challenge just let him run with.
Yeah.
And they could have just put him in, I'm Ahmed Best and dressed like a Jedi. It could have been that. But they gave him tremendous birth to create a character. And he put so much of himself. Like he's a trained martial artist. Like not a lot of people know about that. He's a gifted motorcycle rider. Not a lot of people know about that. And so he was able to use real martial arts and come up with a lightsaber style for himself.
Yeah.
And he even came up with the way that his character interacted with the Force. He perceived this idea that the Force had a flow to it, like a direction almost. And so that he became a surfer of the Force. Like he would ride the wave of the Force and anticipate, and that's how he sort of interpreted the way Jedi interacted with the Force. And then for them to take that sort of random character and put him in canon in a high profile show and keep all the lore, keep the two-handed style, let him do his own martial arts. Like that's, some of his own saber techniques, the gold trim on the uniform, and like fantastic. And then I can't say enough about what a disservice, and I count myself guilty. I do, not in terms of like, and I guess we are talking about before, Twitter or the internet, although it was
social media at large. Yeah.
And I'm really kind of glad that he missed that. But we're still guilty of it, right? Like the things that we did to Ryan Johnson, the things that we did to Kelly Marie Tran, the things that we did to John Boyega, and of course Ahmed Best and Jake Lloyd. And I feel like because I'm a member of that community, I feel personally responsible for, like, I don't want to make anybody ever feel like they want to kill themselves, man.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
I mean, a heavy duty thing, bro. Like,
he's very public with his struggles and that he'd contemplated taking his life.
And
the man got death threats over playing a character in a kids movie
for in a kids movie. And it's like, at what point did we stop being fans of fun and bullies? You know, and I think that in the best possible way, the writers brought him on here to sort of beat his own bullies. And I cried as much as I did for Luke Skywalker. I swear to God, I was so incredibly happy. At one point, I actually turned to Lauren and went, "Wait, is that Ahmed Best? Am I being racist?"
No.
And it, you know, like I was over the friggin' moon, man.
I'm trying to imagine what that conversation looked like. Like, who was it that approached him to say, "Hey, we have a space for you. How do you feel about this?" And for him to have reservations about wanting to do that, he spoke recently saying that he did not want to get in the way of the story,
right?
And that if that was going to be the case, that he didn't want to do it. So, I mean, can you imagine being the Lucasfilm executive, whether it was Jon Favreau, Filoni, both of them, or somebody else, Kathleen Kennedy, approaching him and trying to have that conversation with him in light of everything that he's gone through?
Yeah. I mean, and you, like, he's long been over this. He's talking about like his, like, dealing with it in the early 2000s. But he reprised Jar Jar for seasons, several times in the Clone Wars animated. So, you know, like, we'd welcomed him back and we were accepting. But this, to me, this is like the
vindication,
the cherry on top, the vindication.
The vindication.
The only thing that would be better for me is if that in our next flashback, Jar Jar's piloting that ship, man.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
And they're sitting beside each other.
That ship's got to go somewhere.
It does.
The question is, where's it going?
Maybe a hidden city.
Well,
yeah,
maybe.
Makes you wonder if one of the names we couldn't read in Obi-Wan was Kelleran Beck.
Well, yeah, really, eh?
Right?
All the names on the Underground Jedi Railroad.
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you okay? Do you need to excise any more demons?
No, man. I'm so happy. It's happy. It's real happy. I am thrilled. Man.
I am totally thrilled. I was like, I giggled, but like in the giddy sense, like this is drippingly good. And I said this to you guys earlier. I'm like, this is so in line with what George Lucas has said from the beginning, that Star Wars is for kids. To take a character like Kelleran Beck from a children's game show, this is a guy who works with kids, and to have him save possibly one of the most important kids in the franchise, that is so like top shelf.
Yeah,
it is. And it is such a I don't know if it rights all the wrongs, but it sure feels good.
If I was wearing pants, it'd be a standing ovation.
All right. Okay. Let's move on then. This is a very cool sequence. Master Beck fights off a contingent of the 501st, including some clones who've just arrived on bark speeders, which coincidentally are equipped with sidecars. Using one of the speeders, Kelleran and Grogu flee the Jedi Temple at high speed, only to be pursued by LAAT gunships. Now, one of them manages to hit the bark speeder in the engines, which causes it to belch smoke and to slow down. Spotting a train tunnel, Master Beck dives into the tunnel, and the gunships don't let up. Very interesting sequence here. I'm pausing here because we get to see this incredible display of that lightsaber technique that he helped develop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, amazing.
2, small detail. Question for you guys. Is this the first time we've seen the ball turrets on the gunships since Attack of the Clones?
Maybe.
Because there was a period there where they just disappeared. Like throughout Clone Wars, they just never used them again.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
I was quite happy
That
to see
may be.
those return.
Yeah. Going through the tunnel, we're retracing we're going backwards through the last episode.
Yeah. We are literally crossing with the last episode.
Yeah.
Tamura Morrison back this week as the voice of all the clone troopers.
Excellent.
Glad to see him come back. We've seen bark speeders with sidecars before. They actually come equipped with the sidecar. It's got a blaster on it, but this one for some reason does not. But that's okay. There's also other variations of this. One of them, the sidecar, is actually a stretcher for rapidly moving wounded troops off the battlefield.
Got to get them out.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. All right. So barreling down the tunnel in one direction, Master Beck and the gunships are met by a train going in the opposite direction. But Kelleran is able to pull the speeder out of the tunnel into a station and barrels up a set of stairs into Monument Plaza, while the unlucky gunships meet their demise in a collision with the train. And I'm glad that was off camera. Now, it's kind of morose, but it's like, how many were injured and or killed in that collision with civilian infrastructure?
It's not just clone troopers.
Well, let's not forget that they were indiscriminately blasting at buildings and stuff as they were flying around. So
100%.
True. But train accident of that scale.
Yeah. Interesting point here. The pilot is not a clone pilot. That is a clone shock trooper. That is a member of the Coruscant Guard. So that should give you an indication. It wasn't just the 501st that were involved at the temple.
No, Fox, you bastard.
While streaking off from Monument Plaza, Kelleran slams the speeder down onto a platform occupied by a contingent of Royal Naboo security forces and an H-type Nubian yacht. Almost immediately, another gunship lands on the platform and clones spill out, ordering everybody to get to the ground. The Naboo security forces engage with the clones, while at the same time, Kelleran and Grogu take the yacht and escape Coruscant with viewing starfighters at their heels.
I kind of had a small problem with this scene. If I had any problems, they're all very, very minor. But they seem to stand there and watch the thing land.
They waited,
and then wait for the troops to jump out before. Like, couldn't they have just ran onto the ship, all of them, and gotten away? Anyways, very cool. Very, very cool.
Well, there's a couple things that happen here. One of them, there's a line here from the lead security officer. He says, "Where are the others?" And Kelleran Beck says, "There are no others." Suggesting that there were supposed to be more.
Yeah, I would assume the four, at least in the hallway, originally were supposed
to be. I guess so. And then, of course, take the ship. It is fully fueled. I'm going to get to the ins and outs of who's and the what's here, but actually, let's get to that right now.
Yeah.
The big question is who arranged the ship. So first of all, the lead the lead Naboo security officer, that he's credited as a Senate Guard captain. That's kind of on the nose. Now he's played by Juan Javier Cardenas. You might recognize him as Dante in season 7 of The Walking Dead. There are a few political figures on Coruscant with direct ties to Naboo, being that the yacht is exclusive. Those H-type Nubian yachts were made specifically for the royal house of Naboo.
We got lots of that.
So, I mean, the three major contenders here, and I'm just going to go top to bottom, Padme, the Emperor, and Jar Jar Binks. I think we can quickly rule out Padme, because at this point, I mean, if you juxtapose the images of the temple burning, Padme is quite literally standing in her apartment crying. She has no idea what's going on at this point. Comment coming in here from Doug. I'm going to put that up there. Doug, Jar Jar question mark. Hold on, Doug. We're about to get there.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be Padme, just because she is still in the proverbial dark at this point.
Yeah, she doesn't know everything that's about to go down.
We don't know the exact moment this happens, but she's either that scene there, or Anakin's still in there razzing the temple.
Well, yeah, as I put
Assuming he's
Anakin
still in there. Yeah.
Anakin is still in the temple, presently using the Youngling Slayer 3000.
Right. So this scene is after she talks to him and he leaves, right?
Well, I can't say that it is or it isn't. All I know is that when Kelleran flies away from the temple is still burning.
Right. No, I yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of relative. It could be.
Yeah. It's very it's in the wheelhouse for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can't rule out the Emperor either. And I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not him. I don't think it's him, but you can't rule it out 100%. Because is this part of his master plan to let Grogu escape?
So that
knowing that where the end state is.
Yeah.
I mean, always look, what did Filoni say? Always look to Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And looking to Rise of Skywalker and somehow he came back, you cannot rule him out 100% because we know Grogu is somehow integral to his return.
I have foreseen it.
Yeah. Well, you can't rule that one out. It's sort of, it doesn't taste good in my mouth, right?
It doesn't taste good in my mouth either.
No.
And I go back to the line, where are the others? And, that makes sense that one Jedi escaping who is part of your master plan, that's okay. Half a dozen Jedi is a threat, it's a direct threat to him. Yeah. I don't think that he would allow that to happen. Now, maybe that is part of the plan. I don't know. That he orchestrated, let the little green thing escape and kill everybody else. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't rule him out. I don't think it's him.
No,
I don't think it's him. But again, on a sheer technicality, you just can't rule that one out.
Yeah.
However, who else has connections to Naboo, if not Representative Jar Jar Binks? Now,
in possession of one of these ships in Clone Wars, regardless whether it was Padme's or not.
Yeah. Sorry, and there is the fact that, I mean, it started with Jar Jar. The Emergency Powers Act was by his hand.
Yeah.
And is this some way for him as a character to make up for that? He has direct ties to the Jedi through Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And I really don't like the idea that by the end of his arc, if you read up on this character, that he's reduced to just this street performing, ridiculed. That just doesn't taste good either.
No.
In my heart, it's Jar Jar that arranged this ship. And if that's true, then it's a double vindication for the actor. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
No matter what the case is, even though we've answered a question, and this is what I was saying before, these flashbacks could work similarly to the way that they work in the Arrowverse, specifically in Arrow on the CW.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a bunch of questions. How the hell did he get to Arvala 7?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We've got a lot of years to connect here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's still in the same pram by the time he gets to Arvala 7. So I don't know. So happy that this happened. Got lots of questions. However, we know that the series is not in any danger of slowing down. So we will get those answers at some point. Let's take a second here and catch up here on the chat. TJC, I think judging by her line of, so this is where Liberty dies in Revenge of the Sith, this would be her backup plan as she didn't trust Palpatine.
I would agree with you, except she takes her ship that is this class to Mustafar.
No, she doesn't. She takes a bigger one. The one that looks more like it looks like a boomerang. It's a larger ship, the one that Obi-Wan's stashed. Yeah. It is. Cool. Yeah, I had to go back and watch it myself because I'm like
a misgiven pretext. I thought that was the class.
No, so the yacht. I think we're getting confused because
100% Padme ship then, and I know who's at the helm. Okay.
The yacht is the ship that she and Anakin flew in Attack of the Clones when they were on Tatooine, and then flew off to help Obi-Wan at Geonosis.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at with this.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yes. And so I definitely agree then. Yeah, that is Padme's. That's the exact same ship.
It probably is. Being where she is, she's probably got multiple ships there with her.
Quite possibly.
And security.
Right. Quite possibly. I mean, there was another name that got tossed out this week by some other YouTubers. One of them was Queen Apollina, that she was sympathetic to the Jedi. I don't think she knew it was going on at this point. Like this is unfolding in real time. So for her to have arranged that ahead of time, I don't think it's her. Doesn't mean that they will land there.
Too. She's really young.
Oh, yeah.
Really young. 12, 13.
Doug says, was that the ship that Captain Phasma's armor was made of?
No, that was Padme's actual ship. That was because Vader gets that as a gift.
Yeah.
From Palpatine.
The J-type from Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Cool.
And then she discovers it and builds her armor out of it. Yes.
Oh, that's really cool.
I'm going to Hail Mary you here for a second.
Sure.
Because anybody that would have to arrange for a ship to get some Jedi out would have to know what just happened between Palpatine and Anakin.
Wow. Yeah.
Because the majority of the Jedi that went in were cut down right there.
That is true.
And
so
there's only one unaccounted for, and it is Mace Windu.
Oh.
Suppose he survives the fall and radios somebody and says, get the Jedi out, as many as you can.
That is very interesting.
Because who else would know of this impending attack on the temple?
Yeah. We don't know that Padme hasn't confided. I'm not saying that it's likely, but we don't know that Padme hasn't confided in Jar Jar in some way, or that he's not aware of the bigger picture. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, all she has to do, or all anyone has to do, is radio the ship.
Yeah.
And true. I don't think the ship is here. See, we're sort of talking like this. There was a plan in motion to rescue younglings or rescue Jedi, but rather that the ship is just at its docking bay with its regular contingent of guards.
Yeah.
And either Bail Organa or or Jar Jar says, I'm routing people to you.
It's there.
Like,
yeah.
Like, you know,
it's there. Go.
You don't have to reveal a secret plot because they're actively razzing the temple. It's
that's
burning.
Right. In real time.
Yeah.
At the helm of the ship.
Jedi.
But the whole who's at the helm, Keller and Beck is at the helm. He's the one flying.
Yes.
There's no but again, there is at least a small amount of time, again, just by that, where are the rest? Or where are the others? There are no others. Again, it could just be as simple as these 4 guys.
Yeah.
Follow up from Doug, a Jedi can survive falls. We definitely know that.
Yeah.
I am still salty about Mace Windu. I don't believe that Mace Windu died falling out the window.
No, I don't believe Sam Jackson believes that either.
I don't either. I mean, if Luke Skywalker can survive a multiple courses of Force lightning, Mace Windu, who deflected all the Force lightning with his lightsaber, can survive missing a limb.
Yeah.
And a few thousand feet fall.
Well, yeah, but if he hits a gantry on the way down, he's alive. But if he's falling, 1,300 stories.
Well, we watched Maul's body tumble off.
It's true. It's true. How many people got run through with lightsabers and lived in Obi-Wan?
That's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's completely possible. I don't know if it's this venue. I don't know if it's this venue. I think that the rumor was probably started by people that saw Ahmed Best from behind at a photo shoot or something. Sure. Because there was the rumor that going around a few weeks ago
that we might see Jar Jar.
Well, no, that we might.
That we might see. Oh, that's interesting.
Easy if you saw a set photo.
With a bald black man on the set in Jedi robes.
Yeah.
Psych.
In fact, there, like Andy was saying just before we went on air, there's a ton of people pointing out 2 scenes in the Phantom Menace that say that Keller and Beck's been there the whole time, and it's a Nick Sant.
Oh yeah, is it or isn't
situation. It? But like you said, the one at the funeral is a stand-in for Mace Windu.
That's right.
And then there's a scene when Anakin runs into to talk to to confront Palpatine in his chambers. A black bald Jedi walks by him out. It could have been the stand-in, a guy again. It certainly wasn't on that best, but
we'll just wait for
you could Nick Sant him in there.
When Hasbro releases an action figure with the name on it, we'll all go, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, as the sorry, where are we at here now? Elsewhere. Wow, where am I at here? Oh my gosh. Did I just jump ahead about 17 slides? No, here we go. Nope. Snapping out of his flashback, Grogu lifts his head and watches as the armorer forges a new circular piece of armor. And at the same time, she continues with her lesson. She says, it is a tradition in our culture for each to donate a small portion of what they earn to the foundlings. It is with these scraps of Beskar that I forged your next piece of armor. Mandalorian steel shall keep you safe as you grow stronger. You will grow into this rondel as you grow into your station, Foundling Grogu. And there we go. He gets his next piece of armor,
which is going to keep him more safe when Ragnar decides to use not training
darts on him. Rondel, it's a traditional piece of armor that's typically hanging off a breastplate to protect the armpits. But as you can see in this photo, obviously can be also used to protect other soft areas like the elbows and your fingers. Mm-hmm. In this case, it's about 65% of Grogu's entire body.
Yeah.
From the front.
Little do you.
Oddly enough, did you guys catch there's some electronics, some circuitry on the back of that thing?
Yeah, I would assume it's something to adhere it to.
Maybe
like a magnetic turn-on switch, and it adheres to his chainmail.
Quite possibly.
Piece.
Quite possibly.
It's the same sort of tech that Din was working on after he blew a breastplate.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah,
right. And it's curious because when she doesn't, or at least they don't show it, when she remakes Bo's pauldron, or shoulder flashing, that she says it doesn't come with any of the modern
trappings or whatever. And
I thought that meant the paint job, but it might mean that it's just a piece of armor,
a piece of metal.
Yeah,
right. right.
Yeah, clunk. Here you go. That could be it too. I mean, but how much tech is there in a shoulder piece? I don't know. Right to the Mudhorn though, we've acknowledged that is his sigil as well.
Yep.
The sigil of the clan Djarin.
As it should be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was him after all that kind of dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, looks like we're on our way to a fully armored Grogu in time. Although we better grow a little faster over we're going to have to do some time jumps if we're ever going to see him fully realized.
I don't know that Disney would ever put a helmet on that face.
I don't know.
Or you can a Beskar Yoda helmet.
All of the fan art that has come out of this.
I mean, you'd all love that, but you know what that does is it kills the fact that my grandmother knows who Grogu is.
Yeah, well, I mean, or we just get to the so again, the one of the overarching themes of the show is that whatever side you're on, whether it's Mandalorian modernist or traditionalist, we're both tracking for some form of middle ground.
Yeah.
Bo's becoming more spiritual, and there's evidence here that the rest of them may be coming sort of more towards the modernists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I just mean in terms of your money shot, you're not going to have him helmeted a lot of the time.
No,
I wouldn't.
I
don't know.
Well, elsewhere, the Mandalorian war party, now aboard Bo's gauntlet fighter, land some distance away from the Raptor's nest, and they make the rest of their way on foot where Bo had tracked it earlier in the day. Well, the sun is now setting, and she suggests that they camp out under a rocky outcropping and then make the ascent first thing in the morning. I'm really, really amazed at this point that there is no pushback from Paz Vizsla. There's nothing. There's no friction. Not even like there's a rock in my boot. Like nothing from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a contrast to what we saw last episode when everybody was like glad handing and slapping him on the back and welcoming both him and her into the covert, and he's off brooding in the corner. He didn't say a word.
Yeah.
No.
When they were all, this is the way, he's standing in the corner, stonewalled.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like maybe there's something more going on here with this character.
Well, you plot in silence.
Well, that's true.
Cold revenge.
As the Mandalorians all sit around a campfire, one of them hands out food. Now, Bo asks how to properly eat, and Mando tells her that everyone just goes off on their own and finds a place where they can actually take off their helmets. Paz
Seems like
Vizsla.
a perfectly safe planet to do that.
Paz Vizsla informs Bo that as the leader of the war party, it is her honor to remain by the fire. Then everyone walks away to eat their meal. It's funny in this whole warrior culture that they would, what's the first rule of D&D? Don't split the party.
Yeah.
What's the first thing they do? All right, everybody, see you in 15, right? All right, and this sequence, if you're paying attention, this would be the first time that you would notice that the Shriek-Hawk training team are all wearing their Shriek-Hawk emblems. They don't wear it all on the same side though. Some is on the left, some is on the right. Yeah.
Well,
where am I at here? Oh, we're on 17. Okay, I thought
eating biscuits.
Yeah. Oh, what's I going to say here? Oh, it actually looks like she's trying to make an honest effort here. The fact that she's asking, how is this done?
Yeah.
To the point where she's respectful enough to look around and actually wait for everybody to be out of sight. I thought that's interesting. That's her. Maybe she's finding sound. Yeah, she's finding that middle ground. She's becoming more.
Maybe Paz is being like a bit humbled at this point.
I don't know. Maybe it could just be that he's keeping his mouth shut because something goes south and I lose my kid, then I can freak out later. But until that time, maybe.
I feel like everybody's playing poker here.
Yeah.
Yes. That's probably the perfect way to say it. What do we think's going through her mind at this point, sitting there by the campfire?
Not bad. She's back in a leadership role.
Well, that's specifically the question I have. I got the impression that she's only finding out now that she's the war party leader.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what?
She took initiative, went after the kid.
Right.
Found the location.
Yeah.
Came back and said, let's go.
A lot of leaders are leaders by default.
Sure.
Through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
That contrast between, what was it she said to him back when she met him? Oh, that little cult of yours. Like we're a big contrast to, talking about the children of the watch as a cult to now you're leading a war party of them.
I mean, she's had her faith, like she's had her atheism, if you will.
Challenged,
revoked. That mythosaur was real.
That's true. Yeah. It's a realosaur. Yeah. It's a realosaur. Lauren says, how come I'm the only one with a ship?
Yeah,
I could blast you all to smithereens.
It's true. She does bring a lot to the table for them to tell her to just bounce.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, that too. And like the experience factor, right? Pause, knowing that the thing can beat them for distance.
Yeah.
And they just bolt after it. Whereas she took a moment, said, okay, I'm going to get my ship and go.
Yeah.
See if you can outrun this.
No, exactly. Well, the next morning, the war party begins to climb the tall butte and reaching the summit. The nest appears empty, save for a loose Mandalorian helmet. So Mando switches over to Mando Vision, which we haven't seen for a while, and points out to where he can see a significant heat signature. The climb, that seemed relatively arduous. I didn't realize that she makes a point. The armorer made a point to say, I will, she said she was going to give them longer lariats is what she called them. And we get to see that in effect here because essentially like we've never seen a Mandalorian shoot a cable line that long before. I was watching this with my wife, with Kim, and she's like, how come they're grunting? I'm like, because they're climbing in full plate armor. And she's like making fun of them. Yeah.
Now climb with 50 extra.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're badass Mandalorians. They should be able to do that.
Paz Vizsla with his, just take your rail down. Come on.
Yeah.
You're triple barreled.
And he looks like he's having the actor looks like he's
having a rough time.
Yeah.
And one of the things here too, with the covert and with the training team here, lots of armor mixed pieces, lots of stormtrooper pieces in there.
Oh yeah.
I did like that. I did like that. Yeah.
Thrown together covert.
Well, with no regard for himself, Paz Vizsla ambles over the nest, calling out, Ragnar! Crossing the nest to where the heat signature was. 3 bald raptor chicks lunge at him. At the same time, the mother raptor looms up over the nest on the wing and proceeds to regurgitate the boy. And remarkably, he's still alive. Drawing his vibro knife, Paz Vizsla rockets directly at the raptor's mouth. So the raptor drops the boy in favor of this new, larger morsel and then picks up Ragnar in one of its claws and takes flight out of the nest.
So two minor gripes here. Minor gripes.
Go for it.
First of all, this is the least windy mountaintop I've ever seen in my life. Not even the.
It's not a mountain. It's a butte. It's a
I
butte.
guess it's a butte of a shot. And also, I guess this creature is letting Ragnar marinate in its stomach for 24 hours.
So there's this sense
they
of
digest at the speed of plot.
Another YouTuber had said, if you had just told me in the bit of narrative, like this creature only feeds at dawn, or this creature only eats, then you could buy into that. We really believe that this kid has been in this thing's gullet for
a day and a half,
12 to 24 hours. Like,
and
really?
She's taking the food on field trips. Like they already tracked Bo-Katan tracked it here.
It's almost like, are we supposed to believe that? We can't believe that because she tracked it to its lair.
Yeah.
So it's not like it didn't go directly home. It already went there.
Right.
And just didn't bother to feed the kids.
Oh, the kids are sleeping. I'll come back.
Really.
Again. Yeah.
Maybe.
And did I see another Mandalorian helmet sitting in the?
There's definitely one in there,
yeah,
like an orange helmet or something.
Vizsla says, they've been taken before, right?
That's right. He did say that on the shore of the lake when he's like, "Don't shoot."
Yeah. But at the same time, we heard Ragnar's helmet pressurized, right?
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we heard.
I don't know.
I didn't hear that.
I don't think I heard that either. I'd have to go back and watch that. Now I can buy into that because we've seen it when they went to Mandalore. I'll pressurize my helmet.
Yeah.
Maybe he was quick enough, smart enough to do that, and there's an independent oxygen system within the helmet itself because he's got no other armor.
No.
Yeah.
So there's no other way to supply air to the helmet unless the helmet is taking it.
I mean, if he's going to be a viable adversary for Grogu, he's going to have to show himself to be pretty competent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely he's going to.
Mandalorians are fairly resilient. Like, how many years was Boba Fett in the Sarlacc?
Not that long.
Well,
not that long. It was still burning. Yeah, it was still smoldering. The katana was still smoldering when he climbed out.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, hours to days, I guess. Long enough to hallucinate and go, I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, a couple of years may have passed between then and the Bib Fortuna scene, though.
Yes.
He could have spent several years maybe with the Tuskens.
Sure, and I mean he was helmeted when he walked in and blew him away, so we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We can just accept it.
Yeah,
right.
But I agree. I think of any of this stuff that I have a hard time with in this episode, it's like, what?
He was camping out in the stomach.
You just you regurgitate that thing like 12 hours later. No, come.
The weather is so bad that it has eroded all but the hardest rock, but we're not even moving a twig up here.
That's right. Yeah. All right.
Space wizards. Come on.
I know. Space wizards and laser swords. Well, as the raptor flies away, the rest of the war party jetpack after it. Now, Bo tries to make a grab for Ragnar, but she's batted away by one of the raptor's wings, which causes her jetpack to sputter and fail, and then she falls. Now, the training team harass it with darts, but that proves ineffective. After recovering from her fall, Bo catches up with both the creature, while both she and Mando try to ensnare the raptor with their grappling cables. But the beast dodges them until finally Bo is able to get a line on it, and then she reels herself in where she begins to stab around its eye with her vibro knife, which causes the raptor to drop Paz Vizsla. I tried to get, you can't really see it here. I tried to get some shots. When they actually fire off their lines on this, they actually come out like bolas. They actually fire two corded ends at one time.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time figuring out how did they tie it up, but it's because they fired out like a bola.
Yeah. And that's just
cool.
got the one wing clip.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, and that's exactly what Boba does to Luke. It's a bola.
Yeah.
Wraps him up. Yeah.
Can we go back one frame for a sec, though, real quick?
Yep.
Just to note there that in all the lore, the Shriek-Hawk's got wings and feet.
Wings
right?
and feet.
But
Yeah.
this thing has a clear second set of appendages.
Yeah,
going
it's
through
got
that
like
wing.
four appendages specifically for
Four,
flying.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It does have a bird-like beak, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and they fired like a bola. Right. Okay. Now, Paz is able to use his damaged jetpack to effect a hard landing, while the other Mandalorians use their lariats to secure the raptor's mouth along with one of its wings. Now, Mando takes a pass at the raptor's clawed foot with his vibro knife and forces it to let go of Ragnar. But Mando is unable to hold on to the boy, and he plummets towards the river below. Now, Mando, rocketing headfirst after the boy, is able to grab him, and they hover in place while the raptor thunders into the river below. Kaboom. And Andy, as requested, because how could you not see this?
When it hit the water, I was like, oh my God, I know what's going to happen here.
Where the raptor is promptly snatched up by another crocodile turtle, like the one that we saw back in the season premiere. And if this does not scream Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Especially with the pterodon.
Yep.
I had to go through. I'm like, well, there's the
it eats a couple times. Like they hoist a shark.
Yeah. The
comes out for the Indominus, but
I can't remember what you call the dinosaur now.
Water.
The Mosasaurus.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shots with the Mosasaurus. I'm like, did you want the one eating the shark off the bait thing? No, this one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
The raptor. Yeah.
It struggles. There's a point. The descriptive audio says it actually almost takes off, like it was going to get away. And then it comes up and no.
I was just thinking that too.
As Lauren says,
there's always
a bigger fish. I mean, how do you not go back to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Mando flies Ragnar over to the same cliff face where Paz Vizsla is laying. Now, with what seems like a heartfelt thank you to Mando, the boy and his father are reunited. Have they buried the hatchet? Is this a temporary truce? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's
yes and no.
Yeah.
Because this is like now, okay, you've defeated me for the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Your Foundling has defeated my son.
Yep.
And now you saved my son.
Yep.
I feel the resentment coming. Yeah. Big time.
He jerks Ragnar over. Like, get over here.
I believe that part of it. I believe that is any parent who's ever feared for their child. That whole, like, the kid that runs away. You had me so worried, but I'm so glad that you're back.
Yeah.
Like, you're squishing me, Mom. Like, no, I believe that part of it.
Yeah.
And Ragnar really seems to genuinely love his father. Like the way he says, I'm okay, Dad. Like, it was so genuine.
Yeah.
There is definitely something there between them.
Yeah.
I just look at this scene and kind of go, like, it's a 50-50. They could be, beef settled, or it's going to stew some more.
I think stewing more will.
Yeah, I'm super adamant with my thought that there's a schism coming our way, and that Vizsla, he's got us somewhere in his head believe that he's deserving of that saber. I mean, even if he doesn't win it in combat, I get the kind of
that whole my ancestor thing,
like the bloodline,
right?
Yeah,
should supersede
and
your combat thing.
And he could be on to something in terms of the saber itself, but I think when you realize that the mythosaur outdates the saber, then I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm also reminded again here, like, this scene reminds me of, again, when we talked about it in the Bad Batch, like, kids in this franchise, they don't just get to be kids.
No.
And it's almost tragic, in the sense that, like, oh, I can't be a kid because if I'm not getting eaten by a flying lizard, I've got to train for a war that I don't know if it's ever going to come. Like,
Star Wars, though, not Star Kindergarten.
No, that's true. That is true.
It's unfortunate, though.
There is the school on Navarro.
Yeah,
that's
there is.
Blue
I mean, they're trying to make a better world.
That's true.
Free of the tyranny of the New Republic.
Well, yeah, really. All right. While flying back to the covert, the war party is welcomed back, and they rejoice at the safe return of Ragnar. The armorer gives Bo an attaboy speech. She says, Bo-Katan Kryze, you have honored your house and all of Mandalore. You have done the highest honor of the creed, saving a foundling. And Bo gives her a hearty, this is the way. She then reveals that they brought in 3 more foundlings that are in need of training and care, as the 3 raptor chicks are led off the gauntlet by a couple members of the war party who are using meat on a stick for bait. I don't want to know where they got it from, but that's what they're using. The armorer then sees that Bo is missing a pauldron and says that she's in need of a repair and tells her to come with her. Doug, you're right on it, man. Ragnar versus Grogu for the throne. Yeah, I think we may it may come to that.
I really do. Yeah.
There's
Don't think it'll be much of a fight, but
yeah. There's an interesting thing that's going on here in the little blurb here between the armor and Bo-Katan. If you watched with the subtitles on, there's a huge connotation here because she says you have honored your house and all of Mandalore, and in the subtitles, it's actually spelt in Mandoa. So she's not talking about you have honored the planet. It's you have honored every Mandalore,
the people
in history.
Yeah.
Right.
Every leader of the society. Yeah, that's a huge connotation. Big time. Yeah. What else we got here? Oh, yeah. And the Raptor chicks. Are the Raptor chicks practice mounts for the Mythosaur?
Well, like Lauren said, how come Bo's the only one with a ship?
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna have, a little bit of transportation around the place.
Really, yeah.
Also, sort of what kind of had me thinking that these were Shriekawks, that like
possibly
historically they rode them.
Yeah, I just for her, there's this element of surprise. It's like, oh, we brought you more. Really? Like she's surprised that they've brought them back. Of course, she doesn't know what they are until they start walking off. But
right.
I don't believe that they are just here for food. I mean, for training and for care. I do believe that whatever happens here, that they will end up
being the new
riding these things.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, and it does turn out that these guys, that's exactly what they were a training team to train these, then I am happy to eat my words.
Yeah. I don't know if they're
I
think it might be nuanced, like twofold.
Maybe.
But this may be where we get a little precursor to Grogu being able to tame things, having them realize that he can tame things.
Yeah. He gets to Mick Dundee them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right, we're going to wrap it up here with our final scene of the episode. At the forge, the armorer sets about to make Bo a replacement shoulder pauldron. And she asks if she should adorn it with the symbol of the Night Owls. Bo then asks, would it be acceptable to wear the Mythosaur? And because the Mythosaur is the symbol of all Mandalorians, of course it is. Well, Bo then confides in the armor that she actually saw one. And with her new pauldron in place, Bo then sits alone staring at the Mythosaur skull hanging on the wall, and we cut to black. Now, there's what does she say here? She says, what would you say if I told you I saw a Mythosaur? And then the armorer says something to the effect of, well, I'd say you're very lucky. It's a noble vision.
Yeah.
No, I mean a real one beneath the living waters of Mandalore. When you choose to walk the way of the Mandalore, you will see many things, but it was real. This is the way.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen right from the beginning that the armor is the spiritual leader of her people, besides the keeper of lore and the trainer of trainers.
I start to see some like Arthur Legend stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And I see a little bit of Merlin in the armor.
Oh,
and I kind of wonder. I wonder the station, like my Rook cast theory.
Yeah.
She knows who Bo-Katan is if she's Rook cast
in spades. Yeah.
Right. Like they're sworn enemies. Like, so she's playing poker very well.
Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale.
And I gotta say, there is when she first forges something for Din.
Yeah.
I've seen a freeze frame of it on TikTok, and I haven't been able to corroborate it yet. I haven't actually watched the episode in real time to check it out because I just saw it today. But when she plunges something into the mystic waters to cool there,
the cooling bath,
and she talks about Bo-Katan being a cautionary tale. Darth Maul's eyes appear in the liquid briefly. Now, I've seen a still of it, and I just don't know if it's faked or not. And I'm going to try to find the image and send it to you guys.
We know we've seen the water, the living waters do that where they go out, and you can.
It's a moment when she plunges what looks like the tip of a spear. I know it's not the tip of a spear. She's forging something, I think, for Grogu. But when he asks her, what do you know about Bo-Katan? She says the line, but in the waters in the scene, as she's speaking about Bo-Katan, Darth Maul's face appears in the waters briefly and then fades. Like she's responsible. So do I, because I've only seen it on TikTok, and again, anything can be faked.
Wow.
And there's a lot of that on social media.
Of course there is. Yeah.
At first, I questioned her wisdom here. I was like,
her wisdom is in her bow or her the armor.
Her bow.
Why would you confide in her?
Yeah, but that's got to be a lot of me with inside information, thinking I know who this character is. So then I started thinking, who is an armorer? Like, what station do they have in Mandalorian culture? And not necessarily leader, but that's what starts to make me think Merlin or
advisor or
advisor,
right, or a shaman, right? Somebody. So you have the warrior and the shaman. And the shaman is the keeper of the lore and the mysticism, and the warrior is the leader and the military, that sort of thing. So then it starts to make sense that she would confide in somebody who historically would be a shaman in that role, at least. Yeah. And then I start to think it's a test of that shaman's honesty.
Yeah. How good are you?
or belief. Yeah. It leaves me with a ton of questions about the first time I watched it. I was just like, why would you do that?
Imagine going to a Catholic priest and telling him that you just saw God.
Yes.
What would the Catholic priest do?
That's a great vision. I'm glad you saw God.
Exactly. That's the way but that's the way that she handled it.
All Mandalorians get to wear the mythosaur.
So that's the big question is, does the armor actually believe her, or does she just like, sure, you wink, wink, sure, you saw a mythosaur?
Well, you were in the living waters.
We have to go back.
Yeah.
Come
with me. I'll show you.
We have to go back.
We do. Oh, yeah, of course we do.
Right. We're now, episode 4, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Episode 4.
A lot of Mando left.
So remember back at the beginning of the episode when I said that there's a certain segment of the fan community that are actively shipping Bo-Katan towards Din Djarin?
Yeah.
Why did they not paint her replacement shoulder pauldron?
I took it to mean without the modern accompaniments, but that she did paint Ragnar's helmet.
Everybody's painted. The only person who's not painted is Din Djarin. And so, like, I mean, it's pretty thin, but like, I kind of chuckled. I'm like, are they going to slowly replace her armor one piece at a time, and then the two of them will be like the matching, like, stainless king and queen? Like, is that what we're going towards?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I think Paz Vizsla brought the paint, and he's very stingy with
with handing it out. Yeah.
Because Ragnar's going to need more armor.
Maybe she didn't have Night Owl blue.
Night Owl blue.
Just Death Watch blue, and that might have not been cool.
It's very limited what they have here.
Yeah.
Limited supplies.
I had some Boba Green. Do you want that?
Yeah, really. Well, it seems like they are definitely. Oh yeah.
There's a lot of that burgundy. Like, even most of Mando's original armor was that burgundy.
Yeah.
I hope that they do play this out a little bit more, where the Shriek Hawk thing is concerned, because that, to me, if it is in the we're taking it back sense, that says to me that inward shift I mean, Bo's turning inward towards the middle ground, and I think that they might also be under the guidance and leadership of the armorer. That, you know, maybe it's not such a cautionary tale after all. Maybe there's some truth to
the cautionary tale is straying too far.
Sure.
Yeah, I can't help but feeling like she's just given, like she's just showed her hidden ace to the dealer. I've the horns. I can't get past the horns, and I really strongly feel.
I don't think we're supposed to. I don't think we're supposed to get past the horns. To be honest,
I just feel like she's our bad guy. I really do feel like the armor is our bad guy. And,
so I mean, if we do get there, if we faction up, are we going to be the armor and Paz Vizsla versus Bo-Katan and Din Djarin?
That's what I would assume.
Interesting.
That's what I would assume.
That could make for a fun romp.
Especially if we have to spend an episode tracking down that Gozanti cruiser and the rest of Bo's people.
Mm-hmm. The Gozanti. How about the other one, the Gideon's cruiser? Like, who's out there with that thing?
Yeah.
Right. We can only assume that that's probably Axe Woves and
Cosca Reeves. Yeah.
Cosca Reeves. Yeah.
I've heard nothing, casting rumors or anything for either.
Did we not see them in the original trailer?
No, we didn't.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Talking about the original trailers, though, I do want to bring that up because what are some of the other things, visuals that we saw? There's that big scene where the covert, a large portion of the covert, looks like they're in some kind of battle on Navarro. I'm betting that is going back to the Pirate King Dorian Shard.
Yeah, something.
I think we're going back to that. The Mandalorians might get involved and help out.
Well, if they come back in force and, you know, Grief says, hey, Mando, I need some help.
There was a bunch of folding TIE fighter things landing at a base too, I believe, or taking off from a base in the first trailer.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where we're going. And now that we're at least superficially, we're all one big happy Mando family now.
Yep.
I'm really waiting to see that bubble burst.
Yeah, and
it's going to be fun.
I'm positive it will. Unfortunately,
are we going to get back to Mandalore before the end of the season?
Maybe. I think so.
I would think so.
Well, we're going to find out here sooner than later. Wow. Next week. Next week is a special week. If you were watching earlier today when we covered the Bad Batch, you recall that we mentioned that next week is the season finale.
It's 2 parts.
The 2-part season finale of the Bad Batch runs next Wednesday, along with the next chapter of The Mandalorian. That means that yours truly, all 3 of us, are on the hook for some writing next week. On top of that, it's my wedding anniversary, so I'm going to be extra under the gun to make sure I get everything done in time. Next week, Fandom Power is going to have a triple drop. And I don't know if that means we do both episodes of the Bad Batch in our noon time slot.
Batch to batch.
Yeah, batch to batch in our noon time slot, and then the Mandalorian at 6, or we do a 3-peat. Either way, I hope you guys will come back and join us for that. Oh, what do we got here? We got Resolute Rebellion coming in here at the last minute.
Woohoo.
The covert has a lot of diversity with regards to agenda. It's destined to have some kind of dust up. This is the way.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. You're on the trolley, sir.
Yep, absolutely. We are all riding the same train, just not the one that ran into the Lat gunship, because there's going to be some injured people on that. Ouch.
Take the seat at the back.
Are we going to Naboo? Are we going? Let's talk about the flashback thing. That story within a story. Are we going to keep going with that?
I think there's more there to be revealed.
I do think so too. We've got to get to Arvala 7.
Yeah.
Are we going to Naboo?
Maybe. Because like at this point, they still don't know that the Emperor is evil.
The general public doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
So
wherever that ship is going, it is a one-way trip. Now there is this Star Wars Meg brought this up in her review of the episode, talking about Queen Apollina. Queen Apollina was executed for harboring Jedi. So there is some credence to they could be going to Mandalore,
if only for a moment.
Yeah. Resolute Rebellion looks like Naboo is coming. I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Where else to go? And wouldn't it be cool if we go right to Ota Gunga and hide out in the underwater cities?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good place to hide someone for at least a little while.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see where this is going.
But it wouldn't very well mesh with the Queen getting executed for hiding Jedi. Well, if they go there and can't find Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on what is the relationship, because by the time we get to the end of the Phantom Menace and Boss Nass and peace, and we shall be friends.
Yeah, they're all happy,
right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, how intertwined? Obi-Wan spoke about a symbiotic relationship. How far has that come in the years?
You would think it would flourish.
Have they? Do you think the Gungans maybe recognize the Royal Naboo monarchy? I don't know.
I mean,
or probably not, but
there's a huge problem with there's a huge problem that the Jedi, if they are headed there to hide, aren't aware of, and that's the fact that there's about to be a funeral.
Yeah.
A huge Imperial presence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's
so
right. Yeah.
Maybe we could get some overlapping there.
That would be very interesting as well. Yeah.
Or they get there just before the funeral.
Now, how many flashbacks? This is our first flashback this season.
Yes.
We only had one in season 1.
That's correct.
And one in season 2.
Yeah,
that's correct.
That's very.
We had minor flashbacks to Din's. We had minor Din flashbacks.
Oh, I'm specific. Sorry, specific to Grogu. Yeah,
right. Specific to Grogu. Yeah,
one per season.
One per season. Yep.
So we may have. Yeah. That may be it. That may be.
I think that's probably it for this season, but I don't think it's it for Ahmed Best and.
No. As a literary device, I think the one per season, because like I said to you, Andy, like by the time we got to like the end of Arrow, that duality of storytelling, that was getting old real fast. I was like, just get it over with.
It took forever to converge on a single point.
But if the story within the story is going to be so delivering like it was in this episode, sure. If you're only going to give me one a season, make sure it's like that.
Yeah.
The layers have to be huge to peel them off now. Like we've got
you've got the big
what we wanted from the first 2 flashbacks.
Yeah, right? That's right.
So who was it? The next one has to leave us wanting more or reveal more, like hand Jar Jar or land on Naboo, something of that level.
So now, I mean, let's circle back to one of our previous predictions. Is it Rip Barriss Offee, or is it going to be we'll see when you come back as an Inquisitor?
I think she's the perfect ground level villain for the Ahsoka show. I 100% Thrawn is the big bad, but I think she's the perfect tete-a-tete for Ahsoka Tano. So I think we save Barriss Offee for that.
I think that's a great way to go too, because I don't think you could have Thrawn go toe to toe with Ahsoka the way you could have another Force user.
It's a chess player versus a football player.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a fair playing field.
No.
Well, listen, guys, this has been our breakdown of The Mandalorian, Chapter 20, The Foundling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There was a lot to chew on. Once again, we turned a 26-minute episode into nearly an hour and 45 minutes.
Double it and add 30. It's
double
metric.
It and add 30. Don't forget to go and check out our Patreon over at patreon.com. We do you can find us under Fandom Power. There's a couple of tiers there that you can sign up for if you feel like supporting the channel. You can always check out our the merch shop, which there are links to in the description of this video.
Where you can't get this.
You can get a different version of that.
Yes,
but you can't get that specific one anymore.
No,
because Disney said no, you've got to get rid of that. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy what we're doing. We will be back with lots more. Also, at some point when the breakneck pace kind of cuts back, we will get back to some more of our shorter video production that we've been missing for the last few weeks. Andy and I've got a couple. Andy's got a couple scripts that we're going to review here, which I think they're going to be really fun and funny. So looking forward to working on those. But next week before we get to next week,
Random Tuesday.
Don't forget to come back and hang with us on Tuesday night for Random Fandom, where we just talk about the stuff that caught our attention this week.
And there is some stuff that's in
4
attention worthy.
Yeah. Don't forget, it is a call-in show. So if you want to join us in the live chat here through whatever platform you're you're watching, you're more than welcome to
Little
do so.
green guy there.
You can call us through the embedded WhatsApp link on our Facebook or in the banner of our YouTube channel, and you can be part of the show. All right, guys, listen, I'm gonna call here. I have nothing else. Do you guys have anything else?
It was a good episode. Let's get the next one. 2 more days.
man.
Thanks to Resolute Rebellion.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, sir.
Hope to see you guys and everybody who's watching in the next one. Until then, everyone, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
And we will catch you in the next one. Bye for now, everyone.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This was